What's up guys, Dan from Headwaters Kayak, and beside me I have two different carts from two different manufacturers, but they're very similar in the fact that they're both bunk style carts. They both came into the market this year, and both companies were nice enough to send me them out to test and review this season. So I'm doing a long-term review of both the Suspenz catch-all cart and the Yakattack tow and stow bar cart. And we'll just talk a little bit about these two carts and how they've worked for me over the course of the season. Let me start by saying that both these carts served me great all season long. I've used them both a ton. They've just been living in my trailer. At all the demo days I went to this year, I put all my fleet on these two carts and hauled them down to the beach. I've hauled fishing kayaks, pedal drives, motorized kayaks, recreational kayaks. It doesn't matter. These two carts have literally worked on every different kind of kayak that I've tried on. You see the Suspenz cart here has two different bunks. The bunks actually pop off and can be moved sideways as well. If you preferred to do it that way, like some people with paddle boards run it that way, you can do that as well. I find that if a kayak has any sort of a keel or any sort of grooves, I can adjust it to fit on there, no problem. Again, I've been running mine with the beach cart as opposed to the cart that came standard on it. I found that most of the terrain I'm on is either sandy or rocky, and just in general, these beach wheels roll over diverse ground much better. Couple downsides though is it is puncturable. There is a tube inside of here. I haven't punctured them yet, but if you live somewhere with a lot of goat heads, you know, you might want to stick with these because these are like hard, solid rubber. Now, my only gripe on this cart is that it's kind of hard to break down. Not super hard. And then when the cart is fully broken down, it doesn't break down quite as small as the Yakattack cart. Now, the Yakattack cart is pretty big, super beefy. Look at how long those bars are. Again, they have a couple different styles, but this particular one is the bar cart. I love it. I love how easy it is. I love how stout it is. It works on a huge variety of kayaks. It's a little bit more like a transformer. Like when you play with it, everything is just like click, click, boom. It's just simple, super well engineered. Every piece and part on it feels solid. It has a lot of different folding arms and doohickeys and quick pop off wheels. The Suspenz cart over here is a little bit more what you'd expect from a cart company, like a lot of carter pins, you know, a lot of pieces that just pop off and the wheel comes off, you know, as opposed to the Yakattack cart over here has got a really clean little push button. I got to give the design and the aesthetics of the cart to Yakattack. They definitely have made a great design, and no doubt everything on it works and is engineered really, really well. Now with that said, the Suspenz cart has not failed me, has not let me down. This thing has been just a complete workhorse. It's heavy duty, it's well made, it's simple, and it's easy. You know, it's just sort of like old trusty. When I find myself just reaching for a cart to run a boat to the water, I find myself reaching to the Suspenz because it is so solid. There's no flex to it. It's just like, it's rugged, it works. And I don't know, maybe it's because the strap's already built in the beach cart. I just tend to use this one more. However, the big however, if I need to pack the cart away, I take this one. Like today I was floating the river, I was in my Axis, and I needed the cart to break down small and I don't want to waste a bunch of time. This is the cart I took because it just breaks down so quickly, so easily. But enough of me talking about it. Why don't I just go ahead and start breaking them down. I'll time myself. I'll show you how they fit in the different hatches. That way you guys can get an idea of what's going to work best for you and your needs. So the Yakattack cart, 4 little levers. These guys pop off. Again, these bunks can go sideways too if you wanted. And then they just pop out almost like a tent pole. So those long old bunks fold down really small and then fit right in the boat. Nice and small and tidy. Got 4 little pins here. Push button and the wheels come off. And then if I wanted to, I could even tighten this up more. And then in some kayaks, I've actually had to pull this off. In fact, on this little kayak right here, I actually have to pull these pieces off because it does get a little bulky to fit in that small compartment. This boat has a skag in it, so that back hatch is really small. But it breaks down, I don't know how long it took, but not very long. And it breaks down to a bunch of small little parts that I can then just stick in the back hatch of this kayak. Now the Suspenz, on the other hand, it takes a little more time. If you're going to be breaking it down, you're going to want to use these wheels here. But you got a couple carter pins. Got to keep track of these guys. Don't want those falling in the water. Then the wheels pop off. You've got this long axle, so you're going to want to slide those guys in. There you go. So it doesn't really like fold down that tighty. 4 pins to keep track of. And we can put them all right back in too. Okay. You got a couple wing nuts here, and as this loosens up, then you can just slide these guys right off. And then the straps. The same thing I like about the straps is also kind of a bummer when you're trying to keep things nice and neat and tidy. The Yakattack one does not come with straps. So like today, I was going over some uneven terrain and I had to like kind of strap it down front and back around the bunks, and it worked okay, but the way this one straps down definitely works a little better. And then the beach wheels definitely like soften up the ride over uneven terrain. But let's look at how it breaks down. So here we're looking at all the pieces of the cart. So say on a kayak like this, you're going to put it in the rear tank well. You got the wheels, you've got the uprights, you've got the bunks, and then you've got all the axles and little pieces and parts. Okay, now let's do the Yakattack cart, and we'll put it in the back of this hatch because this is about as small as it gets. These pieces being the most bulky, I like to put those in first. And then the bunks collapse down. And then last but not least is the wheels. So really you're only looking at like, what is that, 6, 7 parts? And then that all fits snugly in there. What I usually do is put my dry bag on top so that stuff doesn't move around. And it's great. Nice and small, it's compact. Versus over here, yeah, a little bit more, you know, clunky. Now let's go ahead and flip these two around and we'll try to get the Yakattack cart in the tank wheel of this kayak and vice versa. Okay, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys actually bring your cart with you on the water? I'm curious about that because I know a lot of people will just return it to their car, and I find myself only a handful of time actually bringing the cart with me on the water. For the most part, I like to wheel my kayak down with all my gear in it. I put my water, my dry bag, my skirt, everything I need for a day's of paddling, my paddle in the cockpit, and then put it on the cart, wheel it down, and at the end of that, I just run the cart back up to my car. Because rarely am I going somewhere where I'm gonna need the cart at the end. Although on occasion I do, like today. So there's the cart in the back of the Kiowa 12, which is a Liquid Logic boat, which is a pretty small tank well in reality. But you can see it definitely packs down. It's fine, it's out of the way. I'd obviously have to strap that down, make sure I didn't lose parts. But there's not a lot of little pieces and parts. The way it all clips together is pretty seamless, pretty well thought out. So over here, let's see if we can get the Suspense cart to fit in the back of the Axis. Put the long bars in first. Okay. And the wheels. These little guys. So as far as the amount of room it takes up, it's really not too dissimilar. But there is a lot more pieces and parts and metal bits clanking around, as opposed to this over here, which feels a little bit tidier, a little quieter, as opposed to a bunch of metal parts. Both these carts are just over $200. Neither of them are inexpensive carts. The Yakattack one, I believe, is a few bucks more. I'm going to leave exact prices as of today in the links below. But needless to say, they're both kind of high-end carts. So if it was my money personally, which would I choose? God, that's really tough. There's so many things I like about this cart. I love how it breaks down. I love how simple it is. But after using them for the season, I think I would probably still go with the Suspense cart, mainly because the beach wheels. I really, really enjoyed the beach wheels. I know Yakattack is working on a beach wheel. I'm excited to see what that option is for them. But if I'm pulling my cart across sandy beaches, which I do a lot here in the West Coast, You got to have the beach wheels, or at least the options for the beach wheels. I also I've used this cart a ton. It's worked well. It's held up. I'm a fan of it. I would not ever hesitate to recommend the Yakattack cart 2, because I really do think, as far as a engineering marvel, it is substantially more refined than the Suspenz cart. They also make a lesser expensive version of this cart that, if you're on a budget, I think is really cool too, and it fits down and still fits in both of these kayaks. And if you're not in a place where you have sand, then I would probably go with the Yakattack cart. That is a really, really tough call. I love both these companies. I love the fact that Yakattack is made 100% in the USA. Suspense, on the other hand, is made in China, so it is an imported brand. But the people behind it are really, really cool. I know Lori is from Suspense. She's always been a big supporter of mine. And you guys have seen these yellow Suspense stands in my videos for 10 plus years. They make a great product. But that's not really the point. The point of this review is to be as unbiased as possible. And if I had to go buy one with my own money, I would buy this one. I would buy the beach wheels, at least today. Now, if the Yakattack cart comes out with beach wheels, I might have a change of heart, because I really do like, just look at that. It's all so simple. It's all so nice and well made and clips together. So, ultimately, the choice is yours. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Leave those in the comments below. You might have a different opinion than me altogether. I would love to hear that below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, this is Dan wishing you happy paddling. We'll see you on the next one.